back to another Take the Lead podcast. I am your host, Tara Chantel, and we got another bag talk session in the building. But this one's going to be something special. Talk is going to be on a spiritual level. I already can feel it in my spirit. I have my queen, Bonnie, in the building. Bonnie, you have so many gifts within you. Please share them. Introduce yourself to the people.
Well, hello, Tara, and hello, everybody. I appreciate Tara for bringing me here. My name is Bonnie. I go by Bonnie-Anahata. Anahata is my name that I've come into as I've come into my spirituality. My real name is Bonnie, and I've added Anahata, which is the Sanskrit term for your heart chakra. But the term means unstruck, unmoved, unshakable. So that is something that I felt like I, had to have to master and continue to strive for, is that essence of Anahata. So I had to attach it to who I am and what I stand for. So I am Bonnie Anahata, also known as the Talent Aligner. I am a drama and art therapy, as well as spiritual life coach. And I do a little bit of a couple of things. I have a couple of companies. I have a company, a talent development company by the name of The Real Tips, in which I provide acting and performance coaching from a mindfulness standpoint, as well as I have artistic alignment, which is an art therapy coaching where I help people navigate their spiritual journeys and their awakenings and transitions in life in order to maintain their authenticity as they go through life, being shaken by all of these, turmoils and transitions. So, helping them get back to that authenticity. So that's a little bit of who I am.
Wow. And that is just so necessary. I feel like I cannot unsee the truth right now. It's just like everything is just revealing to me at this moment. How do you stay mindful, especially as you are creating the real tips for people that might have anxiety or depression? How do you get them to express their emotions in a proper manner?
Well, the first thing is recognizing and having a seat in that kind of uncomfortable feeling of yourself in order to dive into yourself, to get to know yourself. Because in order to be able to channel different emotions, in order to be able to recover from those emotions, in order to be able to open up and be vulnerable enough for people to even feel your art or feel you, or for you to just be authentic and speak truth, you have to know yourself. So that means you have to dig deep into yourself. And that's what shadow work is all about. Digging deep into yourself, finding those things that make you tick, finding those things that the reason why, you're affected, the reason why you cry, the reason why, you're angry, finding those things, not just when it comes to interactions with other people, but also when it comes to who you naturally are. That's why astrology is important, because it gives us a blueprint of who we are and who we came to be, and who we're supposed to be on this earth. So you taking that and having a sense of blueprint already for yourself, and then you take the shadow work and you dig deep into, okay, why do I do this? Okay, so I did this because I'm affected by this, and because this happened to me as a child. So that is the number one thing for actors and for anybody and creatives as a whole. You got to get to know yourself in order to tap into all of those things to share yourself.
Wow, that shadow work can take you to another level. Can you go deeper on how we can find out like what makes us tick? Because sometimes we can be so surface level and just pass by and not sit with them emotions. So how do we really dissect what is going on, like from the traumas that we dealt with as children, because we still have our inner child in us.
And it can be very intricate in how you do that, and it can be very dangerous. And this is why you have to be open to bringing in a therapist as well, because the main thing you have to do is sit with it. Most of the time, we're not sitting with our emotions. We're stuffing our emotions down. We're pushing them away. We're overriding them with work. We're overriding them with, bad coping mechanisms. And, we're overriding them. We're not sitting with them and feeling them. And when you sit with and you feel your emotions, instead of stuffing them down, instead of resisting them, instead of pushing them away, you, first of all, let the emotion travel through you. And when you are able to let the emotion travel through you, you're able to actually have a higher consciousness to take a look at the emotion. Now, when we're in the emotion and we're holding on so tight to it, and we're like, oh, even when you don't want to feel the emotion, and you're like, man, I wish I wasn't feeling this. I wish I didn't feel this way. Oh, stop feeling this. Stop feeling this. Why are you affected? Why are you affected? When we do that, we're actually making it worse. We're making the emotion stay longer. We're telling ourselves all of these different stories, and in our minds based off of that emotion, when that is not even the case. It's just an emotion. It's just an emotion. Now, in order to see it as just an emotion, you have to let the emotion pass. Be okay with feeling angry. Just feel angry. Stay in the moment of feeling angry. Let the anger pass. And then that's when your higher consciousness will come in, like, okay, why was you angry? What made you feel angry? And also, this is where journaling comes into play, because you can take a log and keep score of these things that came up in you when you had these emotions. And then once you let it pass, you write it down and you're like, okay, I felt angry this day. What happened? What made me feel angry? Okay, why did I feel angry when it comes to that? So that shadow work can definitely be, very detailed. And like I said, it can be dangerous, because when you get into why you're feeling those emotions or why you reacted that way, it can attach to a whole root that was based off an experience that may be very traumatizing. And so that's why when it comes to shadow work, you want to have somebody kind of guiding you. You want to have a coach. You want to have a therapist to help you, because you might not be ready to go through this yourself, or to dig into yourself that deep based off of what's attached to those things. So that's why it's important. Me personally, I don't suggest always having a therapist. Now, the reason why is because people who say, oh, you should have a therapist your entire life, or, I don't necessarily suggest that. I suggest having a therapist at particular moments in your life where you feel like it's hard to find that clarity, or where you feel like what you're finding in yourself is very like tumultuous and almost kind of like you reliving a trauma. That is when you need to seek a therapist. But I don't recommend seeking a therapist your entire, lifespan, because at what point are you going to lean on yourself? At what point are you going to lean on your own intuition? At what point are you going to lean on your own capabilities to know yourself and to use yourself? So yeah, that shadow work is deep.
It is so deep, and sometimes we can be scared of ourselves, of the demons that we have, to uncover that, to get that real with ourselves. But I feel like that is a part of healing. And how you mentioned intuition, how do you decipher your intuition and truly trusting that and going for it and not second guessing that? Because that's what it's all about, just believing in ourselves.
Whew, it has been a journey when it comes to my intuition, because my moon is in Pisces, and I have a lot of things in my chart that in which puts me in a position where I am very intuitive, but I also, am experiencing a lot of different perspectives based off of the dynamics of my astrology chart. I see a lot of different perspectives, especially as a Libra. Like we're the sign. My sun sign is a Libra. So as a Libra sun, I'm trying to balance, myself. And also, they call Libras indecisive, but the reality is the reason we're not indecisive because we're flaky. We're indecisive because we can see the optimism of both sides of the spectrum, right? So I can see different perspectives. So that is where I can battle with my intuition a lot. But when it comes to my intuition, what I realize is when I'm working hard, when I'm trying to make things happen, when I'm pushing, and I'm like, or when it's something in me to tell me to do something that is rushing me, or do something that gives me anxiety, or do something that makes me, makes me have to work hard, and I feel it in kind of moving around and juxtapositioning things so much, that's not my intuition to me. What my intuition is, it comes out of this spontaneous, inspirational way in which I easily flow to the action. Yeah, the action might be work, but I'm easily flowing to the work. You know what I mean? I'm easily flowing to the action. I'm easily flowing with spirit. So to me, that's what my intuition means. My intuition is never going to put me in a place where it's rushing me, or where I feel rushed, or where I feel, my back against the wall. No, my intuition is inspirational, and it's easily and effortlessly moving me. So that's how I feel when it comes to intuition.
And that's just one thing about us Libras. We do not like to be rushed. Don't rush me. This is
No,
longevity this way. Don't do that.
no, don't rush my decision, okay? Because I'm taking a while for a reason, all right?
Calculate the moves out here. And I really love how you mentioned astrology and just how important that is, because only billionaires study the stars, sis. So realizing the dynamic of astrology, can you go deeper in that for us?
I am actually still, to be honest, learning astrology myself. But, I actually started my awakening journey long before I even really delved into astrology. So what I feel like is I went the hard route in finding out about who I am. I went straight experience route. You know what I mean? I went straight experience in shadow working and writing out and logging about myself route. And then when I start paying attention to my astrology, I'm like, well, I figured that out last year. Well, I figured that out. If I would have known this, I would have understood this from the beginning. So I'm still learning when it comes to astrology myself, but what I have learned when it comes to my chart is that it's all mapped out for a reason. It's all mapped out based off of who we were meant to be coming into this earth. Knowing your not just knowing your sun sign, which is the date that you were born, not just knowing your sun sign, but knowing your moon. So your sun sign is pretty much who you are kind of here to what you're here to attain. But also your sun sign is what kind of comes easily to you, right? What kind of comes natural to you. Your moon sign is your emotions, what rules your emotions, your feelings, and how you react. Your rising sign is how other people see you. or how other people view you, or how you come off to other people. So if everybody just knew that, those three things, the basics, it will help them understand a lot more about themselves. But it's so much more. It's different houses, it's your north node and your south node. It's a whole bunch more that you want to delve into when it comes to astrology. And it can be overwhelming. And that's why you want to, start off slow and kind of building yourself up. But if you at least know those three things, your sun, your moon, and your rising, you can really delve into understanding who you are. And you got to understand who you are in order for you to stand strong in being who you are to other people.
That is the truth. That is the truth. I believe that if you master yourself, you can master all things. And also, what I've been diving deeper into is numerology as well. Life
Mhm.
paths and our destiny, desire or destiny number. It really is already written out for us. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts on numerology?
My thoughts on numerology, I absolutely love numerology. I naturally take a liking to numerology. And again, as a Pisces moon, I'm very intuitive. So I feel numbers. I named my daughter Nine, the number nine. And she came to me in a dream. Like I felt I saw her, and it felt intuitively that is what her name was supposed to be. And that name represents completion, represents spiritual wholeness, represents leading with humility, and that's where, for me, that's the significance of numerology, is understanding that that's how spirit speaks to you, is in numbers a lot of the times. And so if you delve into numerology, you can figure out what the spiritual world is translating to you.
Mm. Wow, that is so powerful. I personally love as well. Like, I just feel like I can just relate to you on a spiritual level. You're talking about your Pisces, and you have moon in Pisces, but you also like a Libra woman as well. Can you just tell the people, just sprinkle the people about just being a Libra woman? Because I feel like we cause balance and harmony to this world. They just don't understand how good they got it with Libras in
Yeah.
their life.
Yes. It's so crazy because Libras actually get a bad rep. But Libras only get a bad rep for people who are thinking low vibrational, to be
Talk
honest.
about it.
That's my particular experience, not just because I'm a Libra. But as a Libra, of course, we are the sign of the scales. We're the sign of justice. So that means our integrity is going to be on point because we need justice in our life. We need justice. But also on the flip side to that, that's also why we can be so upset when it comes to people not being just to us, or in situations amongst other people, when it comes to on the flip side. Because again, you have to understand your light and your dark side. So the dark side, the light, let's first talk about the light side. The light side of being a Libra, we are very balanced when it comes. Now what does balance mean? Balance means understanding the balance and the compromising between the spiritual world and the worldly world, the physical world. To me, that's what balance is. So that means we have to have a little bit of everything as one. We can't have too much of the other, right? So we're balanced, we're very harmonious, we bring harmony, we're drama free, we're not we're not with the craziness, unless you make us that way. unless you're pushing our buttons, or unless something is unjust, then we're going to speak up, and might get a little crazy when it comes to us being when it comes to justice. Libras are honest. Libras, they're very good friends and they're very loyal. Libras is they're just loving people. They're great communicators, and we're very spiritual and open, and again, accommodating to people.
Yes.
um yeah, and so let's talk about the dark side of it. The dark side is the indecision. The dark side is the indecision. But one of the things that I forgot to put in that light side is that we can see all perspectives. So that's why we're indecisive, and that's why you can't get so caught up on not liking your dark side or being down on yourself about your dark side, because trust and believe, your dark side has a purpose. Your dark side has a function.
Mm.
So yeah, I might be indecisive, but best believe when I make a decision, that decision is going to be on point and something that I stick to. Best believe, yes, I'm indecisive, but that's because I'm looking at all sides, baby. And
That's
so, another dark side to us with that accommodating, compromising sense of us, we can be people pleasing. And we can be people pleasing to the point where we can stuff our own desires down.
mm.
And so that's why it's also important for a Libra to be balanced, because when a Libra is not balanced, they're more on their darker side traits, and they're more people pleasing, they're more suppressing of their own desires.
Mm.
So yeah, that's how I feel when it comes to the Libra.
Wow, you said the truth right there, because I believe like the psychic abilities we have to in order to see all things, how it can go right and how it can possibly go left. But I also read up on us, sis, about Libras is most likely, our sign is most likely to be a billionaire, like the most, like we're
Mm.
number one in the charts of that area. So just had to sprinkle that in there.
It's
Just
vanity.
I love how you mentioned about the flow, because once you in the flow state, allowing things to come to you and allowing to receive the manifestations you have placed within your thought process, within your heart, and now it's physically in fruition. How is that process for you? Please take us through your manifestation story and your process.
Hmm. Now, I've been through both ends of the spectrum, and that's the thing again of being a Libra. We have to experience both sides in order to understand where the middle is, in order to to find that grounding, that grounding in the middle. So I've dealt a lot with not being able to manifest, and so instead of beating up on myself about not being able to manifest, instead of just trying so hard to manifest, what I did was I dug into and I did the shadow work of what are the barriers in front of me that affects me from manifesting.
Mm.
So I figured out the things that affects me from manifesting is when I go into, overthinking, when I pay more attention to what I want to manifest in the future instead of just doing the inspired work, or when I pay more attention to, oh, I gotta hustle and bustle, I gotta do this, I gotta do that because I gotta manifest, when I pay more attention to that instead of just naturally flowing and planting my seeds as such, because I've always been very ambitious, right? And so that ambition is kind of what spiraled me um into this into I've dealt with depression and those dark states. That ambition is what spiraled me into that dark state of depression or not being able to manifest, because you have to understand why you're in that particular state, right? I had to understand why it was so dark for me when it came when it came to me trying to manifest. And it was because I'm too focused. I was too focused on the physical. I was too focused on the worldly desires. And now, how I manifest is, instead of being focused on the worldly desires, and I want to accomplish this, and I want to, I want to accomplish that, and I got to check this off my list, I got to check that off my list. What I do and how I say it is, I just want to express my God self in all ways that I'm inspired to.
Mm.
And that is what puts me in the effortless state of manifesting.
Mm.
Because instead of telling myself, I want to be ambitious, I gotta go get it. You know what I mean? I gotta do this. All I'm being is I'm being me. I'm just being. I put myself in this pressureless state of being and saying, I'm just gonna be the God that I am, and I'm gonna express that in whatever way that I'm inspired to express that.
Mm.
And that's also, when you do that, that's also how you stay tapped into your purpose. Because if you're just focused on expressing yourself, expressing your God self, you can express yourself, and it can manifest as a song, as a poem, as a podcast, as a book, as a, you know what I mean? And those are accomplishments that you gonna check off your list, right? But if you looking at it in this this very pressuring state, it's gonna be hard to manifest. So I had to learn what was affecting me, and I had to take myself out of that ambitious state and say, hey, sis, just be.
Mm.
Just be your God self and express your God self.
Whew. That gave me chills. That gave me chills because there's so much power in being. But unfortunately, they got us in this rat race of a culture where we're possessing material objects in order to feel fulfilled, when the true power is within. Like, we are purpose. We don't got to chase purpose or find purpose. If people realize that you are simply purpose, just being, then you won't need to rush nothing.
But you know what? What is the reason why there's a big barrier up against being is because of, look at what all the stuff that we have to deal with that puts this fog in front of us, puts this fog in front of us of, trying to fit this particular mold, this particular societal mold, or trying to fit this mold when it comes to what is success, or trying to fit this particular image of what we should look like in order for people to like us, or even the fact that we don't even know our real history. You know what I mean? All of that stuff is barriers against us being our authentic self and just being. So that's why a lot of people don't know how to just be, because they haven't dug into themselves and shedded the stuff in order to be.
And it's just simple, like 1, 2, 3. But it's just how you said, though, they got this stuff in front of us, and I call it distractions. Because if people identify their worth and know their worth, to know that you don't need nothing outside of yourself, then you're not going to be buying nothing you don't need. You're not going to be buying nothing. You're not going to be addicted to drugs. You're not going to be self-medicating yourself when you realize when you are whole within.
Also, when you realize that, it's these dark traits or these dark feelings are okay. The reason why we self-medicate is because, again, as of what I was saying before, is we're trying to mask and we're trying to cover our dark self. We're trying to cover up the things that we don't like about ourselves. So, and we're trying to make ourselves feel better about that. But the thing is, what I'm here to show people is there's a way that you can soothe yourself through that feeling of, you know what I mean, of feeling like you don't want to accept your dark self. So again, want somebody that doesn't want to accept their dark self, you can't run from your dark self. You just can't. But we try to with television, we try to with overworking, we try to with, of course, self-medicating and drinking and drugs. We try to run from our dark selves. But what I want to show people is that, instead of running from your dark self, there is a better way that you can soothe yourself through that feeling of understanding your dark self, because it is a process. It's a process to understand your dark self, but people don't want to go through that process. They rather just self-medicate with all of that different stuff. And I want to show them that there's a better way to soothe yourself through that feeling, because that's an understandable feeling to have. It's an understandable feeling, but it's a better way to soothe yourself through it. It's a better way to soothe yourself through it, because that soothing, instead of the self-medicating, instead of the pushing it down, what that soothing is going to do, it's going to translate into your healing.
Mm. Tell them to get to work. I mean, that's the biggest thing to do, is get to work. In you, though, that inner work, digging deep, that's a process that we can't continue to run from. This was incredible. How can we keep up with you and what you got going on for the people? You guiding us, helping us out here, being a whole blessing.
Well, thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you for having me. People can find me on my Instagram is the_talent aligner. Also, my talent development company, The Real Tips, which the Instagram is The Real Tips, as well as the Facebook page, The Real Tips. And I have, of course, the podcast, Affirmation Talk, which is there for creatives as a whole, not just performers and actors, but creatives as a whole, because we all are creators, because we have the ability to create our own lives. And the podcast is for creatives and how to bring out and understand that creativity. So Affirmation Talk podcast, you can listen to that on all podcast platforms, or you can click the link in my bio and the Instagram. And I just always have things upcoming. I have a spirituality course, not pushing people into spirituality, but more so guiding them through the spiritual journey, because it can be tumultuous and it can be overwhelming. And when people are overwhelmed, they tend to shut down and they tend to stop and do nothing. So I have a course, it's called My Spiritual Friend, in which helps guide you through that spiritual transition and that journey. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Oh, also www.artisticalignment.com is where you can book my services, and where you can purchase some products that I have. I have affirmations t-shirts, and then I also sell crystal and essential oil alignment packs.
Wow, you really letting the God in you just express all over. And I love that you don't put
Right.
yourself in a box, because what is a box?
Where? Like, no, I can't put myself in the box. My entire background, like since a little girl, was acting, right? So I grew up acting, then I went to school for acting, and then I went into casting, and then throughout my casting, how spirituality found me was through my casting career. And so spirituality found me through my casting career. And then I was like, wait, okay, I gotta do more. And I was always interested into the inner workings of an actor, and as opposed to just me booking them. I was always, interested in those inner workings. And so once I found my spiritual journey and my light worker calling, I started implementing that into helping actors. And so that's when I started coaching, and that's when I started the Real Tips. And then I realized, like, everybody needs this. Everybody wants to know how to dig into themselves and how to navigate all of these tumultuous things that they face while not sacrificing their authenticity or showing them how to get back to their authenticity. So yeah, so I don't know. You can't put me in no box. You can't put me in the box. I don't care what the industry says or what, or somebody may look at me in the acting industry like, oh, she does spirituality too. Oh, she does. Yes, I do it all. Boo, I'm called. I'm called on every level.
Not
Okay.
answer. That's the thing. When you answer your calling, you move and you
Exactly.
create a whole field for yourself. You have a whole
Mhm.
field, because what would we do if you did not answer that call? It wouldn't exist. And you had to be
Yes.
the creator of your reality. That's how we do it over here.
Yes.
I would love to close with one last question. If you can just leave us off with how to be in spiritual alignment right now in 2021 in this materialistic world. Help a sister out.
How to be in spiritual alignment is spend time with yourself. Don't get so, I know it can be hard, especially people who have a house full of people. And but you got to find time for yourself. Spend time for yourself to breathe. Spend time for yourself to write out your thoughts. Spend time for yourself to release your emotions when you're feeling those emotions. Find something constructive to do. And I'm not talking about productive to do. I'm talking about constructive that is going to help release that emotion. Find that time for yourself, because when you sit with yourself, don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to be alone, because that loneliness is a vehicle to you, to who you naturally, innately, and authentically are. So yeah, that's how I feel is the number one thing to stay in a line is to find time for you in order to truly get to know you.
Come on. And that's how you just gonna fall deeper in love with the process of the spiritual journey. Once you are in your own thoughts and not running away, it's so much power in that. And I feel like we should normalize that. Like we should really normalize that.
Yes, normalize being aligned.
Oh my goodness, this was amazing, Queen. Thank you so much for tapping in to Take the Lead podcast. And I want to thank the listeners as well for tuning in. And we're going to meet you at the top, baby.